But if I'm going to brag, using that advisedly, I'm going to expatiate on every job opportunity or job title, that's going to be 3 pages or 5 pages. So how do I also limit it without losing, the important aspects of it?
Yes, so definitely 3 to 5 bullets are recommended for each job that you've had.
Okay.
So no more than that. Also,
3 to 5?
3 to 5.
Okay.
If you put any more, it's maybe you've done some expansive transformational work as a senior level person. Then you can speak to that a little bit more. Also, in the beginning of your CV, it's very critical to make sure you mention your key high-level achievements. So have you done any type of transformational work? Have you done something that had broad impact among hundreds of thousands of people? Or have you done something that the organization felt, if we don't reward this person, we won't be able to show truly how much we appreciate them?
I see. What about you, Prince?
Just like Okusua has said, in summary, when you look at everything Okusua has said, it's all about results, right? Because that new employer is also bringing you on for the sake of results, right? We want to see results, right? So on that CV, like she said, those ones that you can quantify, it's very key that you're able to state them clearly, that probably I was able to grow revenue $1 million to 1.5, or 10% to 20%. Some of those key figures need to be in there. And you should be ready to prove it or speak to it when you go for interview. Because when you sit there and then they ask you the same question and it looks like you don't even remember what's there or you're not familiar with it, then it becomes a problem, right? So your achievements needs to be there. For the others, the basic, when you ask the question, the first thing that came to mind was, I'm like, your name needs to be there, right?
Of
the
course.
most important thing.
Do you need your number, your phone number on your CV?
A contact address needs to be there.
Okay.
So phone number and maybe email address
Date
needs
of
to be
birth?
there. No, you don't.
Okay.
And like I said at the beginning, sometimes for some regions, they may demand some of those things, right? But for majority, you don't need date of birth. Some people put their marital status.
Yeah.
Some people put, I have a driver's license, I have a passport. If the job requirements that was posted was saying you need some of those things, that's fine.
Okay.
You put them there to help you get in.
But
if
otherwise?
they don't, no, you don't need that.
Okay.
And usually, it helps you from being, in a world where we have a bit of racism in some points and some other things, people choose people over others. You may not want to put some of those things, this guy is from this place, or I remember an interview I attended. The final stage was with the owner of the company, and his first question to me was, I see you are very qualified, right? You can do the job, but are you married? I said no. He said, okay, unfortunately I can't take you.
Oh.
I said, why? He says, you are not married now. If I give you the job, 6 months down the line, when you get married, you come back and say you want an increase. I stepped out of that building and I never looked back, right? So imagine you have that on your CV, married.
But
you're not even getting to interview in the first place.
But what's wrong with asking for an increase?
It's strange. It's different perspectives. People are doing all sorts of things. It's strange.
It's a rite of passage.
Yes.
Is it not? They should understand.
I love that, rite of passage. Yeah.
I'm actually surprised, but I'll tell you what. So I was also reading something where 2 people, one was very qualified. In fact, after the interview, he was likely to get the job, or in fact, he got the job. But the boss decided to take them out for lunch or dinner. And he watched how they related with the waiter. The one who was less qualified was very courteous towards the waiter. And so at the end of the dinner, he rather chose the less qualified person and said, it's because of your people skills. The other one who was qualified and had gotten the job was very rude towards the waiter, didn't say thank you and all of that. So you realize that sometimes employers look for very basic things that you might not pay attention to. So you might have all the skills, but it boils down to how you even relate with people.
Yes.
That's what can get you the job.
Yes.
Now, so I'm just putting that up because this is something I read last week and I was fascinated by it. Maybe you should keep that in mind as well. So you can have all the qualities, but just because you're not married and you get married in 6 months, time they'll drop you. But there's also a mechanized system, like you mentioned. So for all these international job search platforms, thousands of people send their CVs for every role that's advertised. Nobody's going to sit down and now go through every CV one by one to look through and say, okay, this person qualifies, this person doesn't for the next stage. I guess there's a system that looks out for keywords.
Yes.
And then it sifts through the CVs for you to move to the next stage. What are some of these keywords?
Ooh, good question. So it depends on the industry that you are a part of.
Okay.
It depends on the level that you are at as well. So if I am, let's say I've only had 1 year of work experience, and I say I've transformed the marketing department, it would be a little bit unbelievable that with only 1 year I've done such transformational work. But if I say I supported or I assisted in a transformation, something like that would be more in line with what the job description might be asking for. So there's companies here in Ghana like Career Wheel that help support these things. So what they do is they look at your CV, you talk about your achievements, you go through everything you've done, and then they utilize AI, this tool called Quant by Mandy. They use AI and they start analyzing what are keywords that are often found in job descriptions that should also be part of your CV if you're looking for roles at this level that have these titles. So it's almost a science that's behind it. So you have to match the words to the job description to what the language the employer speaks.
Interesting. Now, we've talked about all of that, but let's focus on the kind of skills that are needed in the job market. And I'm talking about the kinds of, you talk about COVID and you realize that for lots of people now, technology is what is required. So I have friends who decided to just study some tech-related course during COVID, and they're cashing out big time now. They stay at home, and they just have 2 hours of staying on the computer and just, putting something in there some way, somehow. And they make more money than those of us who do 9 to 5. So what are these skills that are required lately? What kind of jobs are required? Or what kind of, skills basically are required on the international job market?
Okay. It depends on the industry, right?
Okay.
And I agree to what you just said, because I had a colleague who, while back in the university, he dropped out. He was an engineering student. He dropped out in second year. And then 3 years down the line, he's in this wonderful tech job, earning so much. And I'm like, how does this happen?
Yeah.
Right? But the world is moving towards skills. We keep saying the impact of AI in the next 15 years is going to take away about 80 million jobs. But we don't speak about the fact that, yes, it's taking away 80 million, it's bringing 97 million jobs. It's taking away some, it's bringing some. And the jobs are evolving.
Yeah.
Hence, we also have to evolve, right? And we need to look at skills that these machine learning and these platforms are not able to provide. Like emotional intelligence, they are not able to provide that, right? And there's one thing, like you just said, in a period of skills, the market, just like every market, right? Value is exchanged, right? You have something the employer needs, the employer also has something he wants to give to you so that we can move on, right? So you need to have that value in order to go onto that market, to have that exchange. Some of these skills, like I just mentioned, emotional intelligence, digital proficiency. In these times, you invite young people for interviews, and maybe it's on Microsoft Teams, and they come on, and they don't find where to turn on the camera. And can hear them speaking. Can you turn on your camera? I don't see the button. Okay, you type it in the chat box. Please, I don't see where the chat box is. Can you help me? In this period where you want to go global, where you may never see your people, your managers, you're sitting far off, and you're starting your campaign to work in this organization, but not finding where the microphone button is, where the camera button is, then it means that you are not ready. Because those are just the simple tools that you need in order to move on. So skills are everything in this period of time, depending on the industry. So you want to go into IT, the cloud certification guys are there, cybersecurity, the DevOps, DevSec, all those ones are in those areas, right? You come to HR in the human resource space, there's a lot of data analytics going on now in HR compared to the past. We are making data-driven recommendations and solutions. So if I'm recruiting someone for human capital and he comes in, he has a bit of skills, but I realize he's able to churn data into strategic insights, I'll go in for that person.
Yeah.
Right.
I see.
Okusua.
What about you, Okusua?
Yes, so in terms of skills, like you rightly mentioned, technology skills are, I would say, the number one skill that people really need to develop.
Okay.
An example is my mother. My mother is a nurse, and typically we think of a nurse being in the medical field. You're always by the bedside, you're in a hospital. Throughout the years, my mom, once COVID came, my mom has transitioned into a role that now has evolved her to be at home.
Okay.
Through her time being at home, she's learned how to use Microsoft PowerPoints. She's learned how to use Microsoft Word. She still does this 1-2-1-2 typing, but she's trying her best. And by her upskilling herself, she was able to increase her salary by 50%.
Ooh.
And she's now at home in the comforts of her home. If she has an appointment, she needs to run errands, all she has to do is make sure she communicates with her manager, and she has the flexibility to do those things.
See, so then that also links to the question I was going to ask you, that how important is continuous learning in career advancement? Because you cannot keep doing the same thing and expect that you're advancing your career. So what resources are available for that?
So one major one is LinkedIn Learning. So if your organization has LinkedIn Learning, take full advantage of that. Another thing is, anytime you hear of any training, take it. So Prince and I, we were speaking earlier about our many certifications. So my reason for having the certifications that I have is I would go into these organizations. They would say, oh, maybe we can't pay you the amount you're seeking, but we have a training budget. So I would negotiate early on for them to take care of my training resources. So because of that, I was able to get many of the certifications I have, just so I'm able to advance my career once I leave the organization, or once I find another internal opportunity that can help me grow.
Yeah, indeed. You said when I mentioned, continuous learning.
Yes. You can never underestimate that. I mean, in this period we are. I mean, in the earlier 2000s, we kept using a term like the business environment is now dynamic, is now... At this point, I don't even know which term to use to describe the business environment, right? Things are moving on, and hence we need to be developing ourselves. We take development as a personal responsibility. People wait for their organizations to develop them, and that's why they are sitting in the same place for the last 10 years, right? So several platforms, like she said, LinkedIn, you have Udemy, you have Coursera, you have EDX. These are all platforms that we can invest in. Pay $20, pay $30 just to get some learning and some skill. So I have a friend who spends time in doing some of these certifications and continuous learning. And I can't underestimate, or it will look like I'm exaggerating, where it has landed here now, right? From zero and investing in some of those trainings. She hears about this training, she pays into it, she picks up the skill from there. And then she goes to interview and she's able to prove to the panel that, yes, I've picked this up and I'm able to apply it. And that's the trick.
It's important.
Yes,
That's the trick. So
continuous
figure
learning.
it out.
Yeah.
Well, hello, Beatrice Mensah. She says, I'm a virtual assistant and currently in search of remote work. Which job boards do you suggest? We mentioned them earlier. I hope you were on at that point. But just for the sake of, her asking this question, maybe we'll just touch on it again. So the job boards are...
So if you go onto LinkedIn to DuaPa's page, I have a virtual assistant position open at the moment.
Great.
So oftentimes I try to post those. So selfish plug, I'm available.
Okay. That's good. I mean, of course, you're looking for a virtual assistant. You might as well.
Right away.
All right. But then there are other platforms as well for anyone else who's...
It's in the Target High, it's in the... There are quite a number of them,
Matthias Togo says, I'm ready. Well, we also are ready. So we hope that you find a job on there with all the skills that we've equipped you with during the conversation today. Ansa says, I see you, Akusua, with fire emoji. Akusua, your fans are saying hi. Vera Fenin says, this is so informative. Thank you, Absa Bank Ghana Limited. My time is up. We have to wrap up. Okay. But what final pieces of advice would you give to anyone who's looking to find a job on the international market? Prince, you want to start?
Okay, I would want to start, and I think I left one job board out.
Okay.
Absa Bank Ghana.
Your bosses are watching. I'm sure they sent you a message. You forgot.
So you can check out our website.
Minus 50% of your salary for the month.
We're getting to the end of the year, so I need to look sharp, right?
I know.
So you can check out our site also for available jobs as well, right?
Okay.
So, like I said, digital and technological proficiency. Get used to these systems, the simple ones. For example, you are in HR, you want to move into HR. There are platforms that organizations use for HR. Could be Workday, could be SAP, could be Oracle. And organizations use some of these things. Even in procurement, Oracle is there, Coupa is there, SAP is there. When you go to interviews, employers will be asking some of these questions. Have you ever experienced using SAP? Say, no, I haven't practically, but I've taken trainings on them. It means you're halfway ready to go, right? So, like we said, continuous learning. Let's not stop learning, because that is what is going to keep us moving and evolving with the market, and we are going to keep our value as we move on.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okusua.
Final words. Networking is key. So always put yourself out there. Speak up any chance you get. The worst anyone can tell you is no. And after many, many no's, there will always be a yes.
Yeah.
And the last part is communication is key. Make sure you're always selling yourself, putting your best foot forward. And if you need help, seek out mentorship from people both older than you, younger than you, people who are at the same place in your career, and people who are at other places as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This has been an insightful conversation, and there's a lot I've learned from this. And I hope that our viewers have learned a lot as well, both on Facebook and on YouTube. A few comments came in, but remember that even beyond the live conversation, you can still ask your questions on our platforms at Absa Bank Ghana on Facebook and Absa Ghana on YouTube. You can even find us on Instagram and LinkedIn. We're everywhere, literally. Yeah. So your questions are welcome. We have experts who would be checking social media so they can respond to some of your comments. And of course, I'm sure that Okusua and Prince will be able to also jump on board sometimes to respond to some of these questions. Or you can find them on their various LinkedIn pages if you have further questions, right?
Yes,
so your LinkedIn pages.
Prince Tettey-Nartey.
Okay, just for the sake of your salary, what's Absa's LinkedIn page as well? So that's
Absa Bank Ghana. Yeah.
Exactly. Go and check that out. And Okusua, what's yours?
Mine is Okusua Opong-Menash.
Okay, Okusua Opong-Menash. But for anyone who's interested in that virtual assistant role, they should log on to what, DuaPa?
DuaPa, that's the name of the page. Okay. But if you use the URL, DuaPa Group.
I see. All right. Well, there are a lot of job opportunities out there, so make sure that you're prepared and ready to take up any role that's available to you. And on that note, we're wrapping up on this very exciting webinar. Yeah. That's how we wrap up for the month of November as well. I do hope that we have one more to go before the year ends. You never know, or if not, don't worry. We're wishing you Merry Christmas in advance, and maybe we'll see you again in January. But remember to download the Absa ReadytoWork app. It's available on Apple Play Store, iOS, actually, Google Play Store as well, and Huawei stores. Just download and go through all the modules, complete it. And of course, there's a lot that you'll be learning. You'll be equipped with a lot of skills that are important to prepare you for the job market or even for self-employment as well. So we're not only focusing on you finding a job with another company. If you decide to start your own company as well, we have had webinars where we've brought on entrepreneurs to talk about how they also run their own businesses. So it helps in various ways. Just make sure that you're ready and complete those modules. And of course, be part of the Absa family. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And Merry Christmas in advance. So your Christmas presents are on the table, as you can see, wrapped. Very nice hampers. It might not look too big, but there's a lot in there for you. So enjoy it.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again another time for more conversations on this, right? My name is Berla Mundi, and thank you for joining us. Keep those messages coming in. We're grateful, and we'll see you very soon. Enjoy the rest of the day.